It is primary election day. Iowans are heading to the polls. You may have already gone yourself.
For those who haven't yet, you still have some time. We have team coverage tonight on what to know before casting your ballot. And later, our team will tell you what you can expect when polls close. First, let's get to our Local 5's John Diaz. John, for many voters, this may be their first time with new election laws in place.
Yeah, there has been some 50 pages of changes to Iowa's election law. So as you said, a lot of voters may have not experienced it yet. We want to focus on the ones that are really going to affect you tonight. For example, the polls close tonight at 8 o'clock. Previously, that was 9 o'clock. So if you were planning to maybe head out after dinner or something like that, you want to make sure to get here by 8. Another major change is to absentee ballots. If you have one in your hand right now, you need to make sure that that gets into the hands of election officials, again, by 8 o'clock tonight. Postmarks at this point don't count anymore, so there really needs to be in an election office by that deadline. New in Polk County, we also want to talk about this. There's been a 24-hour drop box for these absentee ballots. If you're planning to drop that off late tonight, again, that's going to become unavailable at that hard deadline of 8 o'clock. A lot of these changes going into effect after the November 2020 election. And so, again, like we said, folks may be experiencing this for the first time. Another major change are the new districts. So Local 5's Mary Sugden is live now in Ankeny for us with how these redistricting is shaping this election.
Yeah, John, that's right. This is the first time for Iowans that they are casting a vote in these new congressional or legislative boundaries. Now, as a reminder, these are from the congressional and legislative maps that lawmakers passed last fall. It's something that happens every decade, kind of adjusting to the population within the state. So when we look at some of those congressional changes, when we look at the 4th district, that's what's currently represented by Republican Randy Feenstra. That district shrunk slightly just when we look at its geographical size. And then when we look at Republicans Marianne Miller Meeks and Ashley Hinson, they're essentially flip-flopping. Now, Hinson will be running for the 2nd district while Miller Meeks running for the 1st district. And when we shift our focus to the state house, looking at some of those state races, we see some incumbents who are now having to run against each other in that primary. So, for example, when we look at House District 53, we're seeing Republican Dean Fisher and David Maxwell, both incumbents who are now kind of running against each other to keep their spot in the Iowa House. So for more on a look of some of these bigger impacts we could see due to this redistricting and some of these incumbents, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Mary, thank you. Joining us now is Ed Fahler, Republican strategist, and Pete D'Alessandro, a Democratic strategist. We want to thank you both for joining us on a very busy night, our first major election following redistricting. So big question here, which races will be most impacted by boundary shifting? Ed, let's start with you.
Well, the big one is that Mariannette Miller Meeks, it required her a move to stay in the congressional district that she wasn't then opposed to someone else, so that had some impact. Otherwise, the others are really on the state level. The one I think I'm paying the most attention to is by TAMA. It's 2 sitting representatives, Dean Fisher and David Maxwell, and the governor has weighed in on the side of Dean Fisher, so it'll be a real interesting thing to watch, that forced that meeting of 2 people and then the governor's weighing in.
Sure.
So that'll be an interesting one to watch for sure.
Pete, what's your take?
I think on the same idea, but with a different outcome on the Democratic side, is we had a lot of seats that are very solid Democratic seats in the legislature that actually are going to be open because of the way we do redistricting. And so there isn't an incumbent, but there's 4 or 5 seats in the metro area in which a Democrat is going to get elected for the first time and might be the type of person that becomes the bench, so to speak, as we move forward.
A lot to follow tonight. We will have more analysis as the evening continues. Stephanie, let's send it back to you.
All right, Samantha, thank you. Well, joining us now is Local 5's Larissa Leone at Calvary Chapel in Des Moines. Larissa, that serves much of downtown Des Moines, and for some voters, it may be a new polling location altogether.
Stephanie, as you said, it's a beautiful day to be out fulfilling your civic duty, and that's exactly what people are doing right here at Calvary Chapel Church. Now, before you decide to hit the polls, you're gonna want to make sure that you double check your polling location. As Mary and the others stated, that the redistricting may change where your polling locations are this year. So what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to log into the Iowa Secretary of State's website. Super simple, just plug in your zip code, and from there it will tell you just where you need to be in the correct polling location for you. Now, I know this is going to be a change of pace for some of you who have been voting at the same polling location for decades, but again, it's super simple. Just go ahead and check out the Iowa Secretary of State's website. And if you can't find it, that's okay. Go ahead and look on weareiowa.com and we have it there for you. So the polls are open until 8 p.m. So come on out and vote. Reporting live at Calvary Chapel Church, Larissa Leone, Local 5 News, We Are Iowa.
All right, Larissa, thank you. We want to go out now to Local 5's Carson J.S. Reichart. Carson, you are at the Polk County Auditor's Office. What's turnout looking like there?
Yeah, Steph, like you said, here at the Auditor's Office, we have just under 3 hours left until polls close. Just before I went live, officials tell me that they've seen about 36,000 votes that have been cast here locally. Now, that's a little lower than what we usually see for elections, but it's also a primary election, which means that that is pretty much par for the course. That said, the election for House District 36, where there are 6 Democrats in the running for that nomination, as well as the Polk County Attorney's race, where 3 Democrats and 1 Republican are looking to replace John Sarcone, who has been in office since 1991. Those 2 races are still attracting a little bit, more than a little bit, in fact, of attention here. Now, something else that officials specifically here at the Auditor's Office want you to know, they've been seeing a lot of people coming through wanting to vote here. That's great news, but if it's not your dedicated polling place, you cannot vote here this evening. They've been having to redirect a lot of people who think that because they were able to early vote here, they could still do so tonight. Live in Des Moines, I'm Carson J.S. Reichart for Local 5 News. We are Iowa.